Welcome, ladies and gents. Evil Dead Rise. This was a movie that came out yesterday. I watched it yesterday. A little bit late on the review, primarily because I broke down. Not that you need to know that, but that's why. So I'm giving you my review today. Evil Dead Rise. This was a movie that was made for HBO Max, I believe, for streaming. Pretty certain it was made for, it was made for HBO Max. And then they decided to push it to wide release. Literally the first opener, I could see why they, literally before Evil Dead Rise, the title card rolled, I could see why they pushed it to a wide release. 100%. Absolutely 100% I could tell. It's cinematic. It's Sam Raimi-esque. You know, it's got all the Sam Raimi vibes that you want from an Evil Dead film, but much more horrified. Horrific. Gory, serious, less tongue-in-cheek, obviously, with Ash, Bruce Campbell. Not that that's bad, of course, but they're leaning into it a bit more heavy with the serious vibes, and it works. But with all the Sam Raimi elements as well. I actually really like this film. Genuinely, really like this film. The opener, the sort of framing of certain shots, and the sound. Oh, the sound was so good. 100% the sound was absolutely epic. It really had me instantly. I was like, wow, yeah, okay, I'm all in. I'm all in. This is good. They've spent a good amount of time and effort on this. Now, I had a source that had worked on this film, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. What can you tell me about it? Obviously, very limited bits and pieces, but what they did tell me was that it was a good film. They liked the film. They thought it was... They liked it. And so I had some positive hopes. And then again, the fact that it moved from HBO Max to wide release, the trailer was good. It delivered. It delivered. Now, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but to watch an Evil Dead film in the cinema, and a gory, serious Evil Dead film in the cinema that is taking itself seriously, 2023 is a good year. There's been some good films coming out. This is a good year for horror already. So, the starring individuals in this movie, we have Alyssa Sutherland, who is an Australian actress, I believe, who was told by her agent that she could basically never get work and she has to just sort of, be content with the odd jobs that she gets. And then, boom, she lands this. Obviously, after changing agents, I presume, as well. She was good. She plays the individual that gets infected with the demonic Deadite forces, as it were. We then had Lily Sullivan, who plays her sister, Beth. And she was good. She's basically our main character, our point of view character. She plays a technician for a band. And there's this sort of running commentary of her being a whore groupie. And I'm using the words because that's in the film. And that was quite good. I like her backstory enough. But I'll get into why I would have preferred some of it to be cut out in a minute. Everyone else was really good. We had Morgan Davies, who played Danny. Nell Fisher, Cassie, the young girl. She was really good in this, actually. I hate kid actresses or actors, generally speaking. I despise kid actors. The best thing that they can do is not be annoying. She acted. Big tick. Big gold star. For Nell Fisher. She was actually really good. Everyone was really good in this film. Now, the gore was great. The gore was absolutely sick. We've used a cheese grater before. The stand-up cheese grater. You go, and you think to yourself, as you get to the end, you're like, ooh, please don't cut my skin off. Well, we see what happens with a cheese grater when someone intentionally uses it on someone's leg. Yeah, it's gross. It's got all the elements that you want from a horror, Evil Dead, serious tone film. 100%. I don't know. Aside from the comedy, I don't understand. I don't know what other people would want from this film, aside from the sort of tongue-in-cheek comedy elements. The practical VFX were great. They were really good. There's a sort of a culmination of a demonic force towards the end, and the practical VFX there were great. I really, really liked this film a lot. I had a good time with this film. The script itself is pretty good. They lean heavy into the language. They're very harsh and visceral with their language. The use of, see you next Tuesday and like whore, loads and loads and loads of pretty abusive, nasty, foul languages that you would expect a demon to come out with. So I liked that as well. Although it's a weird use of the word like, but you get my drift. Now, the one thing that I didn't like, I liked everything in this film. The one thing I didn't like was that they spent a little bit too long. So the opening act gets into it immediately, and then title card rolls, Evil Dead Rise, and then they bring it back to one day earlier, because what we see is one day later, and then the film is set one day earlier. And then one day earlier, which is the events that take place in the building block, the apartment block, it's a little bit slow to get into. It's not so slow, but it's a little bit slow. And there's a little bit of a meander there where the pace just feels a little bit off. Just a little bit off. The thing is, this film's like an hour, 30 minutes. And I say to myself, I'm like, well, if they trimmed 10 minutes off, it would be a bit better. And I'm like, well, I think they probably did. I think there's maybe more to it that they didn't actually go into that did get trimmed. An hour 30 is not long, it's not a long film, and it trundles along really, really, really well. I think it's an hour 30, I'm saying it now. I bloody hope it is. So anyway, that could have been condensed a little bit, but all in all, this is great. This is a Lee Cronin film. I'm pretty game to see more from this individual. I think the sound design was great. I think they did really, really well with this film. And I think that this had a budget of $15 million. You spent $15 million on this and you were going to put it on HBO Max. You're insane. You're actually insane. This was for HBO Max movie initially. What are you doing? Honestly, what are you doing? Madness. Absolute madness. So I'm glad. Again, I'm just kind of looking at the information. $15 million. Box office currently sitting at 2.5 million. Not good. And I don't understand it. I think this should have legs. I really actually do think this will have legs. Or should have legs. But whatever, never mind. Let me know what you think if you've seen it down below. I really like this film. Strong recommendation from me to you. Just that little bit of pacing problem. But all in, I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down below if you've seen it. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.